Okay, hi everybody. I'm going to do a quick video on this trim control up front on a Ultra 300 or a 310. When I first got my ski, I was doing a general inspection. I took the bucket out up front. This is where we are. We're up front. There's your hood there, so you know where we are. I'm actually just airing it out. I wrote it yesterday, so I have the ECU cover off, but as far as I understand, this is our trim control, and this is where it's mounted here. And anyways, after about 5 hours, I was doing a general inspection of my ski, and I found this trim control just laying up here. You know, there's a cable there. I guess goes to the back, and yeah, it was just laying here, banging around on the bottom of the hull here. You know, and so I looked at it. It's held in with a big rubber band. I'm not overly impressed with it. I think the engineering could have been done better. So anyways, a couple solutions to keep it in. I think the first and probably the easiest solution is take some rubber. Here's some that's already built up. Take a few layers. This is kind of soft. You could even cut a square, you know, take the width of the rubber band and notch it in to your rubber here. So you take the width of that so it sits in there. You could put it in behind the rubber band to tighten it up to hold this trim control unit in. You could do that. I believe one of the guys did that. I don't know how successful it is. You'll be with that. That's one option. And here's some rubber here, just some different types. You could cut 4 or 5 layers. Put it behind here. Put it behind the rubber band, maybe 2 or 3 inches wider. So it would. Let's get a picture. If we get a good picture here, yeah. So maybe this wide. You could contact cement it here and here, here and here, just to keep it in position. And you notch it out with a square. Notch it out so the rubber band. So that's one way. You know, you might have to go, I don't know, maybe an inch or something thick of rubber behind that rubber band. That's one way. But what I did is I took it out. I didn't unhook it, but I laid it down in here. I put some blankets down there, some cardboard, and what I did is I made up a square. There's a 1/4 inch piece of wood on the top, the back, and the bottom, and then they connect up, and I epoxied them in, and they connect here, and I epoxied across. So and then I epoxied the styrofoam to the hull, the trim control to the styrofoam. I build this box around it of mahogany wood. It's about a 1/4 inch thick, and it's as wide as the actual trim control. So if you can't see it completely, so the wood goes along the top, the back prevents it from sliding out. The back goes along the bottom, and then I put a few pieces across like this, so the unit, the trim control, cannot go out, cannot slide that way. And then I slapped some epoxy. I know it's not pretty, but it's really tough to get in there. And I used 2-part epoxy there, and just as a secondary to hold it in. I didn't know about epoxy putty at that time. Epoxy putty would have been the better job, you know, the better choice. Here, you can see the wood now. Let's see. You see the wood where my hand is? I think you can see. Okay, so, and I painted it and everything, and it's epoxied in there. Now, if I have to take this unit out, or I have to repair it, that'll be a nightmare. I guess probably the best, I would have to take this cover off. And but anyways, I just set mine in one position. I don't move it, but I don't know how often they fail, but that's how I did it. This is the epoxy I used. It's a 2-part, 5-minute epoxy. I probably went through quite a bit. I forget how many tubes. You could use that, but it's a little bit runny. You could use like a another 5-minute like the clear type, but it's even runnier. You could use epoxy putty for the whole thing. And like I say, I've done lots of tests. You see the front there? See how I angled it across there? A little piece of wood, everything's epoxied in, and then on the top as well. That's so it can't slide out forward, can't drop out the bottom, because you've got that wood all the way around. And it took me a half a day. And I did all the work here, and then I got the frame, everything done, and then I slapped the epoxy on the hull. I slapped the epoxy on the back of this, so there's epoxy on the hull to the styrofoam. Then the other side of the styrofoam, where this other side of this sits in, put it up real quick, put the band on, stuck it in position, waited all night, then came out in the morning and slapped some more there. And I think, yeah. And like I say, it's not pretty or anything, but it works. Epoxy putty would have been the choice for this phase of it, what you're looking at right there. And believe me, it's not going anywhere. It's there. It's there. And I don't ride it in the ocean surf or anything, but I pounded it a bit to test it, and it hasn't budged. So you could use rubber. Try that first. Build up some rubber. By the way, if you have a boat, this is I made this for a guy that used to keep his boat here. These are prop guards. You see, I contact cement them together, and that slips over one part of the prop, and I made up about 5 of these for him, and they go on the prop, and then they all tie together, and just as a protection for the prop. But anyways, that's how I solved the trim control issue. It might give somebody some ideas. The way I did it is a lot of work. You might be able to look at what I did and come up with something a little simpler and quicker. Like I say, it took me a half a day, and I had to work in here because obviously I didn't unhook it here, I didn't unhook that, and I did all my measurements, went and cut my wood, came back, epoxied. It was a job, but I think it's there to stay. So anyways, that's today's tip from Rod. Hope that helps.